My name is Ryan Harrison, and I am from the University of South Florida. I am currently a graduate advisor in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life here at the University of South Florida. There was a time where we always felt that we knew exactly what we should do, whether it be a voice that was in the back of our head or whether it be old-fashioned home training. A lot of people may say that it's your conscience, but I like to attribute it to something that is known as ethical decision making, which has been a hot topic in student affairs lately. So I decided that it would be best that I help you guys understand exactly what is ethical student decision making. We will be looking at some of the trends in higher education as how it relates to ethical decision making, and also kind of adventure a little bit into conflict resolution. I'll attempt to point out 5 objectives through this workshop that should be able to help any student examine their behavior and be able to take a look at what they're doing and say, I'm being ethical in the way that I'm making decisions. The first objective is to identify your personal values and your source of personal values. By identifying your personal values and the source of your personal values, you will have something that's important to you, that pulls and tugs you, not just from any place, but from an emotional place in you, which I like to say is similar to your home training and how you were raised and those different things. I'll also define ethics as it relates to personal values. Where do ethics come in when you start establishing your personal values, and what do you do, and when are these triggered? Next, I will also discuss how ethics and values influence decision making and conflict resolution. Once again, there's no other way to say how important your ethics is pertains to solving these conflict and resolution situations. Fourth, I'll identify how values align with institutional and personal values. Identifying how our values align with our institution and our personal values will help us not only as we go out and make decisions in the real world, but when we're doing things that may not necessarily align with what the mission stands for at the University of South Florida, we'll be able to identify those things. And I will try to have you all commit to a self-reflection and properly manage decisions. Now, this course is designed to assist students in making these decisions, but at any point this can be taken back to adults, taken to kids, but a lot of it does align with exactly how it pertains to our mission and the things that our institution stands for. The first thing that I always like to do is let's examine the mission of the University of South Florida. Now, the mission of the University of South Florida is something that is very simple, but definitely represents everything that we stand for. As Florida's leading metropolitan research university, USF is dedicated to excellence in student access and success in an engaged and interdisciplinary learning-centered environment. Also, it is to research scientific discovery, including the generation, dissemination, and translation of new knowledge across disciplines, to strengthen the economy, to promote civic culture and the arts, and to design and build sustainable, healthy communities, and to also embrace innovation and support scholarly and artistic engagement to build a community of learners together with significant and sustainable university community partnerships and collaborations. Now, based on what the university stands for, we have to identify what our personal values are. And by identifying our personal values, we can also combine that all in together to see how we intertwine with the university. That's why it's very important when you decide on a university to attend that you take a look at their mission to see, where do I stand? Do they support my cause? Do I support the cause? Do I support the goals of the institution? By doing this, I want you to take a list of the words that I'll be placing on the screen. And from this list of values, both work and personal, I'd like you to select the 10 most important ones that will become guidelines for you. I'm going to leave this on the screen for approximately 30 seconds so that you can select those 10 personal values for you. Now, out of these, think about your family. Think about the things that make you tick. Think about your classwork. Think about the goals that you have as you further your life. All of these things are going to be important as you begin to identify which of these are the most important values and goals to your life. Okay, now that you've identified these 10 values that you find most important to you, I would like you to narrow them down to the top 3. Now this is very important because as you narrow them down to your top 3, this is going to give you the opportunity to really hone in on exactly what it is that makes you tick, what makes you go, what makes you wake up in the morning and be the person that you are. I want you to take a look and figure out what's important in your life. At the end of this, we're going to call on a couple of you guys to go ahead and share what are your top 3, and we're going to see how they directly intertwine with the university's mission. So go ahead and narrow them down to 3. Now, ethics relates to making a personal value decision. This is very important because making a personal value decision is about you. It's about how is this going to affect my life as I move forward. When you make a personal decision, I want you to think about the steps that you took to make these decisions. And we're going to create a personal decision model. I've taken the liberty of creating one for you that will be a reflection of how I personally go through making decisions for myself. I always try to limit this to 7 steps because that way when you're thinking through what you're doing, you don't have to think too much. And hopefully as you continue on making these ethical decisions, you'll begin to grasp the concept of what it means to be able to not necessarily count them step by step, but create a holistic approach to how you make these decisions. The first thing that I do is identify the problem. Identifying the problem is going to help you, 1, take a step back and say, what's going on? Whenever you can take a step back from things before you make a decision, it's always great because you never want to dive headfirst in. And I know some people believe in, I dive headfirst into the problem. But sometimes it can be a good thing, but it can also be a negative thing, especially when the decision that you are making is very important to you. Number 2, how do your values and your ethics make you feel about the problem? Now, if I'm walking down the street and I was just happen to see $100 lying on the ground, the first thing is going to say, identify the problem. Now, $100 down on the ground is not necessarily a problem, but it is a situation that does tug on your ethics. So first, I'm going to identify that there's $100 on the ground that doesn't belong to me. Secondly, I'm going to say, I know someone probably does need this $100. We are in a tough economy, and I know if I was to lose $100, I'd be very upset. Now, how does it make me feel about the problem? I know that 1, it just tugged on my emotions to say that I really would need this money and I really should turn this on if I could find somebody. So I'm going to ask myself, how do my values and my ethics make me feel? 1, they're going to make me feel like I should turn this money in. So that's the number 2 step. Number 3, identify possible solutions, weighing the harm, the risk, and the pros and the cons. Possible solutions could be that if there is a lost and found, to go ahead and turn the money in to the lost and found, and identify exactly when and where did you find the money. Now, on another note, you could possibly keep the money, but that gives you the opportunity to turn in the money first, and then usually if no one claims the money, then usually they call the person who found it and they'll give it to them. So that could be the pros and the cons, not necessarily harm and risk with finding money, but this is just for exemplary purposes. Number 4, think about the consequences of each solution. Now, there are 2 solutions in this situation. 1 would be to turn the money in, or 2 would be to keep the money for yourself. Either way, there wouldn't be any major consequences when dealing with finding money. But weighing the value of both decisions is going to be the number 1 thing that helps you relate back to your ethics and your values and how you handle the situation. 5th, choose the best solution. Once again, let's turn around and try that again. The number 5 thing is to choose the best solution. When choosing the best solution, it's the greatest way that you can really identify where do your values and your ethics lie when it comes to all this. Because you're going to choose the best decision based on your values and ethics. So if your ethics and your values are in a great place, then that means you're going to choose a great decision. And who doesn't want to make a great decision, feel great about doing so, and be able to move forward with their life? And last, number 6, evaluate the decision. When you look back on the situation, if you can say, well done, you're glad, you're proud of yourself, there may be some of you that question yourselves and say, oh man, I just gave away $100. But we never know if somebody's going to come back really needing that money and it really benefits them in a way to where we're proud to say that we helped solve this problem and it came from our heart. Once again, thank you for joining me today. Remember, my name is Ryan Harrison from the University of South Florida Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. You can contact me at rjharris@usf.edu or reach me at 813-974-1220. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you learned something, and be sure to always make an ethical decision. Thank you.
So there you have it. The future is in your hands, and your journey toward success starts here.